It was 2:07 in the morning when her phone lit up again. The sound wasn't loud, just a soft vibration on the nightstand. But at that hour, silence makes everything louder. For months, she'd been saying those late calls were about work, that her boss often called with urgent updates from clients in other time zones. I used to believe it. Or maybe I just wanted to. But that night, when I saw the name Mr. Cole glowing across her screen, something in me went still. No anger, no shouting. Just calm, steady curiosity, the kind that comes right before the truth. I reached for the phone, looked at her sleeping face turned toward the wall, and pressed accept. There was a moment of silence. Just faint static on the line. Then a woman's voice, calm, confident, a little tired, said, "Hi, this is Mr. Cole's wife. Who am I speaking to?" I didn't say a word. I placed the phone back on the nightstand, speaker facing up, and leaned back on my pillow. My wife stirred slightly but didn't wake. The woman's voice came again, sharper this time. "Hello? Is this who's been calling my husband every night?" Still, I said nothing. I wanted her to hear everything. The sound of my wife's breathing, the quiet, the truth, sitting right there in the dark. Then the line went dead. If you've ever been in a moment like that and when everything clicks, not with noise but with silence, you know exactly what I mean. It wasn't jealousy. It was confirmation. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator down the hall, the ticking of the wall clock, and the faint sound of her phone buzzing again a few minutes later. This time, a message. I didn't bother to read it. If you like stories that unfold like this, slow, calm, but unforgettable, subscribe right now. Because this one only gets colder from here. By morning, she woke up early, cheerful as ever. Humming while she made coffee, she didn't notice the phone sitting face up on the table with a missed call from Mrs. Cole. When she finally picked it up, she froze for a second, then forced a smile, pretending nothing had happened. "You were up late," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Couldn't sleep," I replied. "Too many things on my mind." She shrugged and poured my cup, like it was just another morning. But the air felt different, heavier, quieter. I watched her check her phone again, then slide it into her pocket, like it might burn her fingers if she held it too long. She didn't ask if I'd seen anything. She didn't need to, because deep down I think she already knew. I had stopped being the husband who asked questions. I had become the man who simply waits for the truth to show itself. And that truth was already on its way. The rest of that morning passed in slow motion. She moved around the kitchen like nothing had happened, asking about my schedule, groceries, little things that used to fill the air between us. But every word sounded rehearsed, like a script she'd memorized to distract from the silence she feared most. I didn't play along. Short answers, steady tone, no emotion. The calmer I spoke, the more nervous she became. When she leaned in to kiss me goodbye, her hands were shaking, just a little. She said she had a big presentation, that her boss might keep her late again. That word, again, hit different now. I nodded, pretending to scroll through my phone. What I was really doing was writing down the time she left, 8:23 a.m. She drove away like every other day. But I stood at the window longer than usual, watching the taillights fade at the corner. Then I sat down with my coffee, opened my laptop, and started digging. I typed in Mr. Cole's full name, found the company website, LinkedIn, even press photos from events. A man in his mid-40s, CEO type, confident smile. Married, his wife, elegant, sharp, controlled. The kind of woman who doesn't guess, she knows. I wondered how many nights she'd stared at her husband's phone the way I had. I wasn't looking for proof anymore. Proof is for people who still hope to be wrong. I was past that. Around noon, I sent flowers to her office, a simple card. To the team, congratulations on your dedication. Signed, your supportive husband. I knew she hated public gestures. I wanted to see how fast she'd panic. By 12:47, she texted, "Why did you send flowers to the office?" People are asking questions. I replied, just wanted to remind everyone how hardworking you are. No emoji. No sarcasm. She didn't text back. Hours later, I checked her shared calendar, the one she'd given me access to years ago. Back when she wanted to show transparency, her afternoon read, Cole Group dinner, private. I stared at that word, private, right there in front of me. A confession dressed like a calendar note. I decided I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. There's more power in waiting than shouting. By evening, she texted again. Don't wait up. Late client dinner. That same phrase? The one that had lost all meaning, but tonight, I decided to make it meaningful again. I showered, changed into dark clothes, and drove to the downtown restaurant where Cole Group usually hosted their events. I parked across the street and waited. At 9:10 p.m., her car pulled up. She stepped out, laughing. Phone in hand, looking brighter than I'd seen her in weeks. Mr. Cole got out next. His hand brushed hers. Too casual to be innocent. They went inside together. I didn't follow. I just watched. Through the window, she sat across from him, leaning in, smiling, like a woman who'd forgotten her husband existed. I stayed for maybe 15 minutes. Long enough to see the waiter bring wine. Then, fate decided to join the show. Another car pulled up, Mrs. Cole, calm, composed, walking straight toward the door. She hadn't seen me, and I didn't stop her. Seconds later, the tension hit the table. My wife froze mid-laugh. Cole stiffened. Mrs. Cole stood over them, saying something I couldn't hear, but I could imagine every word. My wife grabbed her purse. Both women stormed out, in opposite directions. Cole stayed behind, rubbing his forehead. I didn't smile. Didn't move. I just whispered to myself, now you know what 2 a.m. feels like. Then I started the car and drove home. When she came in near midnight, her eyes were red. Her hair a mess. You were right, she whispered. It was just work. Gone wrong. I didn't answer. I just turned off the light and let the silence stretch between us. Heavier than any fight. Colder than any lie.